You've have got a new position and you need to fill it fast. Oh, what do we do? Do we go out there and just grab somebody, any person that can fog a mirror? Do we have a process in place? What do we do? In those situations, you got to remain calm and trust your process. In today's video, we're going to discuss why it's so important to trust that process. You've laid the foundation in the first few videos. Now it's time to let the rubber meet the road. Stay tuned to how you can find out how to do that consistently and have winning outcomes when it comes to hiring the best people. Stay tuned.
Welcome to the Rapport Advantage Podcast. I am Alex Swire-Clark, human behavior expert, author, and award-winning speaker. Understand yourself and others to unlock your potential.
Hey friends, Alex Swire-Clark here, emotional intelligence expert, author, and award-winning speaker. We're in part 5 of how to hire and effectively retain good quality talent. And this job market right now is so difficult to do that, but we've already set you up with some great successful tips in parts 1 through 4. And today, part 5, we're talking about trusting the process. That's basically it. We're trusting the process. So we've built a solid foundation with quality job descriptions. We've talked about core values and how we hire them and how we use that in terms of the interview questions that we ask. We've talked about in terms of what we're looking for in that job description, making sure that we're getting the right candidates in the door. We've talked about the fact that you're going to use DISC assessments to put people in the role in terms of getting your job benchmarking taken care of. So people are going to be emotionally fed from that, as opposed to being, I'm drained, I hate this place. And then we talked about how to use that job description, combine it with a DISC assessment to then really get to the heart of what job questions we can ask in that interview process, which are going to really drive home the points. Because again, we want people self-selecting as they go through the process. So step 5 is trusting the process that you've put in place. So you've laid the foundation, you've laid the groundwork. I mean, it's done. So now you got to trust the process. And unfortunately, too many times in HR situations, we are willing to skip a step if we find someone who we think is going to be good for that role. We think they are. I mean, the resume looks good. I talked to them on the phone a little bit. We got to pull the trigger. We got to pull the trigger now before someone scoops them up. And that's where we fail. That's where we have the problems, because we see everyone just plucking these people fresh out of college or all the best talent, but we don't trust the process that we put in place to maintain that long-term success. Because as we talked about in previous videos, when you guess, that's just it. You're guessing, you're shotgunning it. You're maybe hoping, winging a prayer, kind of throw the darts and see if they stick on the board. That's not a process. That was one of the huge failures in our company way back when in 2006 when we started, because I didn't have a process, number one, because I'd never been in HR before. I was in education. So, I taught the kids who they put in my classroom. I didn't know how to recruit talent. And then secondly, it was a situation where I'm not a process-driven person, and we didn't have a process in place. And so I would hire people that were like me, who made me laugh, who had a great sense of humor, who could tell a good story, who were, very charismatic. And that's fine for having friends or creating conversations. But when I'm trying to build a business that's built on detail-oriented people who are building claims on a daily basis and are doing that remotely, that's going to be a recipe for disaster. I don't want those people anywhere near claims people like me. So I'm great at inspiring people as a high I. And if you're not familiar with DISC, go back and watch our videos on what is DISC and how to understand it better, because we talk about that all the time on the channel. By the way, if you're new to the channel, subscribe, hit the button, subscribe today. We love you. We appreciate you. And we appreciate you helping us grow the channel. So in that process-driven environment, that's fantastic. Woo! But if you're not a high process-driven person like me, sometimes you don't see the need in that. And we're more impulsive. We D's and I's are very outgoing people, and we tend to kind of take that first step and make that first step happen, and that's it, right? They had a good 30-minute interview. The resume looks good. Let's hire them today, like right now. And that's a recipe for disaster. So this video is all about trusting your process. So did you do the things that we talked about in parts 1, 2, 3, and 4? Have you done those already? I'll wait. If there's a in any one of those first 4, we got to stop the video, go back and revisit those part 1 through 4, figure out where we didn't get all those in place. Because think about trying to build a house, right? You're either going to build it on a concrete slab, or you're going to build it when you've got a basement underneath, or you maybe just have a crawl space or whatever. but you're always going to have a firm foundation which to build the rest of the structure. In this part, what we're talking about is the process. If you don't have a firm foundation, which is that process of I know what I'm going to do first all the way to the last step in the process, you're just kind of out there wandering. You don't have a goal, you don't have a direction, and therefore the candidates that you're going to be looking at your website, looking at your Indeed profile, looking at your ZipRecruiter profile, are going to see, ugh. And if you go back and look at our Indeed profile at my company, back in the day, before we started implementing this process really, really hardcore in the last 3 or 4 years, then, we got some people that come on, they last for 2 weeks, and this person over here was doing this, and blah, blah, blah. And so we didn't really build that process into building culture, to bringing people on board, to, what's their first 2 weeks look like? Are we partnering up with a buddy? Am I going to spend time with them? What that looked like? It was just kind of haphazard. And you can tell that in some of our reviews. So I'm being perfectly candid. We didn't do it perfectly the first couple of years, the first 5 years, the first 6 years, until we finally got this process in place. And now we're seeing the results that we want. We got people staying with us long term. Love my team. Love you guys. Love y'all. And they're just great folks who have been with us and continue with us because we support them. Our culture's there and everything. But again, it's process driven. As much as that pains me, just give me a root canal at the same time. I hate talking about processes. My director of operations, she thrives in processes. And so we're a good yin and yang and kind of balance that out. So you've got your first 4 going in. Now step 5 is don't cheat. Don't skip step 3. Don't skip step 4. Okay. Do it all the way through and you're going to get better candidates. You just gotta trust me on that. You're going to get better candidates. You're going to have less time spent rehiring folks, bringing on people, wasting your HR people's time. You're spending money on new training, new licenses or whatever else that they're working for, new certifications. And then they walk out the door in 3 months and you wonder why, because you didn't have a thorough, effective process in place. Again, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. If you go through any of our videos, we got more than 100 videos on here. We'd love to help you out in any way we can. You've got my contact information is all over the website at alexswire-clark.com. We have free mini courses out there available for couples. We've got free corporate courses if you kind of want to dip your toe into the water of, would this program work for me? And people ask me all the time, hey, Alex, what do you do? Well, obviously, I do workshops with folks. I also do coaching. I also have online courses that are available for your company so that you can have access to me 24/7 for any of your new employees, because what will happen is a lot of times people will bring me in and do a workshop and like, oh, dude, it's fantastic. It's great. And then they've expanded the next year. They brought on 30, 40, 50 people and they haven't heard Alex, and they want to make sure everyone has the same, lexicon, the nomenclature that we're using, this whole DISC thing going on so we can speak and talk about, how we could communicate the most effectively. And they don't have me there. They don't want to have to pay me to come back and speak again, which I get. But there's a corporate course out there. It's online. It's you work at your own pace. It's all brilliant. I sound like a Brit there you go. It's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. But it's great for folks who come on board to have that without having to bring me in to do that, and be happy to help with that. Of course, we've got assessments. You know all about that. I'll put links to this stuff below in the description box. Again, thank you so much for your support of the channel. Sincerely appreciate it. We will see you next time. And again, if you have any topics that you want me to cover in terms of that emotional intelligence space, whether it's personal or professional, be happy to do that. See you in the next video. Bye-bye.